Hello, welcome to today's video. We're going to go over my top 5 players in the top lane. Somebody had suggested for me to do this post-Worlds, and I figured why not do it every 6 months? Makes sense. So roughly 6 months ago, I did do a top 5's video. We're running over my top 5 favorite players in every role. This was post-MSI. In top lane at the time, I had it Bin, Zeus, Keen, Flandre, Rascal. This video, I'm doing it a little differently. I wrote down all the players that I could think of that were even players that I enjoyed at all in any degree or thought are good at all. Like obviously there was a big gap between a lot of these players, so not all of them are going to be in my top 5. That's clearly not going to happen. So I'm going to erase them, kind of work my way through it on camera, and go along for the ride. So comment down below with your top 5. No honorable mentions, please. None of that. So to start us off, I'm going to do something really simple. I'm just going to erase these 2 regions. I put this on here for, representation. There are no minor regions on here, and some may wonder, why isn't Robo on here, or Eevee, or Hanabi, or Hazmed? Nobody showed up internationally, in my opinion, against any of these guys to make me want to put them on this list. Actually, there's only going to be a couple minor region players at all, I think off the top of my head, that are even going to be considered in my top 5s. So, we're getting rid of the Western players right away. Summit, good player. Probably, I would say, is the best Western top laner that's slated to play for a Western team next year, right? So actually, he's not Western. He is going to be on a Western team. Photon, a lot of people that like to talk highly of Photon have not watched enough Photon to actually really give him that title. I mean, let's be real. So Photon's not going to be up there. Summit holds the spot for now. Now, going through this, we have a lot of good players. I have Nuguri on there. He's not dead. He just retired. So, theoretically, somebody could retire and still be the best top 5 in their role at the time. Right now, because, haven't seen what it's like without him. But for the sake of this, we are going to erase Nuguri. We're going to erase Kingen. Flandre's out. Wayward is out. Zoom played awful this past split. He's out. Xiaolahu lost his job. I'm still a fan of Xiaolahu, though. I will say that. So keep that in mind. Xiaolahu's still a very good player. Very young. Still in his early 20s. In my opinion, a player doesn't lose the start, doesn't hit their prime until like 22, 23. And then after that, you're still gaining experience in matchups and in macro and things like that. I don't think your hands are going to get better. I think your hands are what they are when you're 22, 23 years old. When you hit 25, then you start to dissipate. That wear and tear on your wrists and fingers is going to be a thing. But hopefully in that 22 to 25 window, you've gained enough experience where you can still win matchups just being smarter than your opponent and make up that hand stiff, if that makes sense. So, Xiaolahu's still good. Now, the players still left. Breathe. Played very well at Worlds. Was he the best player? No, but he played well. He played solidly in the place of Bin in summer. Is he Bin? No. So, spoiler alert, Breathe is not in my top 5 for across the world. Going into Worlds, he was, but Shanji, the Shy, Keen, Rascal, they were not in there. So now we are down to 8 players. 8 players. Doran's out. So Doran, weak side, very good player. One of the best weak side players in the world. Played very well with Chovy and Ruler. This upcoming year is going to be a big test because he is probably going to be expected to do a little bit of carrying from time to time because there is no Ruler. You have a young bot lane that is relatively unproven when it comes to the AD carry position, and the support is not a world champion either. So the fact of the matter is, Doran's going to have to do more work, so maybe in 6 months, Doran is higher up on my list because he's proved, he can do it. But as of right now, I do not have him there. So now we're down to 7. Okay, so we got a lot of good players here, right? I'm going to take Keane out. I love Keane. I had him third last in May. But Keane, his Sejuani was pitiful. Really just, Sejuani wasn't pitiful. It was just, it's that meta sucked for him to the point where it really sucked the life out of Keane. It sucked the life out of me when it came to Guangdong Freaks. I was just like, this is so disappointing. Keane cannot perform. This top lane meta stinks. So he was very, very out of place. He was awful. So Keane's out of the top 5 for now in that regard. Now, there are 2 players here that I have to decide between, and I'm trying to reconcile it. We have Shanji and the Shy. So, the Shy, a proven commodity, an Inter. And if you've been a fan of me or followed my channel, you know that I hate Inters. And anybody that comes to his rescue, blaming other players on his team, must not have watched the game or watched the games that I watched. The Shy is responsible for some of the positions he puts himself in, and we cannot ignore that. Cannot ignore the highs without also equally acknowledging the lows. Especially when they are coin flip 50-50. It's not like one happens more so than the other. His playoffs were awful. It's tough. I am not the Shy fan. People know I'm not the Shy fan. But being realistic, he is a very, very talented player. And when he is on, he is one of the players at the top of his role in the world. When he is not on, he is not anywhere on this list when I started. He isn't even, honestly, I put him below the Western top laners I had on this list if the Shy doesn't want to play League of Legends properly. And he wants to play it like an idiot. So, now, Shanji. I'm kind of hesitant because, you got Xiaolahu and Wayward that I was talking about in June, if I recall correctly, and neither one showed up in a big way. In summer, I had them still on the list. I think that there was potential there, but Wayward both of them actually got benched. But Shanji had some serious pizzazz in the top lane for OMG. His champion pool was electric. He was so unpredictable, winning his matchups. He really came on the scene. Anybody, in terms of the top lane, in 2022, Shanji is a player that came onto the scene. He is the one up-and-comer. He is the future, arguably, in the top lane in the LPL. So, it's hard to determine which one is out. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. I'm going to go with the Shy. So I guess the Shy is 6th. Like I said, don't put honorable mentions in the comment section. So now we have the top 5. Now it's up to me to determine what order these guys are going to go in. So it's a toughie. I'm going to go Bin first. Bin is first. Bin is still my favorite player in top lane. His BLG numbers were not as good as I would have liked them to be. His RNG, he was great for RNG. People say, oh, well, he was on this champion, this or that, MSI, and that's why he did well. Then ban it. That's as much on him as it is on him. If he can't play into it, ban it. Like, that's what you do. Like, if you can't do it. Now, over all of the year, I don't have the number on me for what was the Gnar versus Gwen matchup in spring and MSI, so keep that in mind that patches can change things between spring and summer. We saw a lot of changes, obviously. But across the entire year, Gnar beat Gwen. So for Gwen to be considered the super, super disgusting champion, I mean, it wasn't as disgusting as people make it out to be. Not to mention, Jace had a 70% win rate against it, so it is what it is. If I recall correctly, that's what people's biggest complaint is with Ben, is that he played a lot of Gwen and he did well on it. Go figure. So, second place. This is where it gets harder because, so, my gut instinct tells me Zeus, but Zeus couldn't get it done in the finals. A very young player, though. First showing at World's Finals. Obviously, MSI Finals, like we just went over, occurred as well, but Kingen handled him. Did Kingen beat him? I wouldn't really say that. I would say Kingen handled him. But Zeus beat 369, and honestly, between second and third, it is those two. So because of that, I am going to go with Zeus as second. And then 369 third. 369 is very, very good. Carries for JDG hard, but he did not show up at Worlds at all. I do not want this to be completely Worlds related, but I am also cross-referencing. The only references we have between two players that are not in the same region is how they did against each other, right? So, when push comes to shove, I have 369 below Zeus. Probably Rascal fourth, and Shanji, like I said, is actually fifth, so that was fifth all along. Rascal, I like him. I like him as a player. I think he's extremely talented. Definitely at the point in his career where he's no spring chicken anymore. So he's hit that point now where his prime is maybe past, and he's going to have to make things up with his smarts, intelligence, interesting picks in top lane, and just be better than his opponent when it comes to his mind. And whether I wouldn't be shocked at all if Rascal isn't in my top 5 in spring, because it's a matter of fact that he could just lose it, right? Just like Keen kind of lost it, Flandre lost it in my top 5 in spring. It's kind of funny though if you think about it. My top 5, 3 of my top 5 are still there. I've got 369 in there now, and Shanji. And the pick with Shanji is going to be, definitely something to monitor. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he implodes. But right now, I am just high on his potential. He is a extremely talented player. And maybe it was just the meta. Maybe he just becomes meta dependent. What happens in spring does not fit him, and he implodes. That's the thing. Trying to find players that are not meta dependent is a challenge. In top lane, we saw that a lot of players did struggle. Zeus was a big player that I thought struggled in summer at times compared to where he usually is at. He was not at this level in summer. A lot of people say, well, he didn't play that poorly on those champions, this or that. Okay, but he also wasn't elite. So this is an elite conversation, not of are you serviceable at your worst. And that's why he ends up on the list, though, right? Because he is serviceable at his worst, but we do know he is meta dependent at this point in his career. So that's it for my top 5 video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, comment down below with your top 5. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube member. I plan on doing these top 5 videos probably for the next few days, depending on how views and things go. Right now, I'm kind of going all over the place with content and looking for what you guys want to see. I'm not going to do reactionary content. And the tier list will come out eventually when it comes to team rankings, but everybody doing their tier rankings already are kind of, LCK, Fred at Breon still hasn't announced their roster, so how can you actually do an LCK tier list without all the teams known? LPL, you have no idea. LEC is pretty well done. When I do know what the 4 regions are, I would probably do LEC first because it's done. And LCS is pretty well known at this point. But as far as LCK, that's 90% done. LPL is a big fat 0. So tier lists are kind of sussy to do right now. So thank you for watching, and hope you come back for more content.